He was born into an empire of order and silence. Boys wore pressed collars. Curiosity was a mild rebellion. June 23rd, 1912. London under grey skies. A child named Alan Turing arrived, unaware that his mind would one day whisper secrets to machines that did not yet exist. To the world he would become a mathematician. To history, a codebreaker. To himself, someone searching for patterns. In numbers, in people, in everything that felt unknowable. And before we decode his story, take a moment to decode this one. If you enjoy stories where logic meets mystery, where humanity wrestles with its own creation, you know what to do. Click the buttons, subscribe, and keep your notifications turned on. Even Alan would have appreciated a well-timed signal. His childhood read like the preface to a paradox. Fragile, lonely, brilliant. He took apart ideas the way others dismantled clocks, not to see how they looked, but how they ticked. The British classroom rewarded obedience. Alan rewarded curiosity. When a teacher wrote, "He must learn to conform," he smiled and cycled home, mile after mile, mind spinning faster than the wheels beneath him. He solved problems no one had assigned, chasing beauty hidden in numbers. He was awkward in conversation, but fluent in thought. The other boys played games. Alan mapped infinity in his notebook. Even then, the line between imagination and mathematics began to blur. When the Great War ended, the world exhaled. But inside minds like his, another war began, one of thought. Machines were still dumb. People trusted instinct and prayer. Alan wondered, could thinking itself be built? Could reason exist inside circuits instead of flesh? It sounded impossible. But the impossible was his favourite kind of puzzle. At Cambridge, marble halls echoed with Latin, scepticism, and the hum of typewriters. There his mind caught fire, numbers danced, logic unfolded, the boundaries of certainty trembled. He proved that some questions have no answers. Not for man, not for any future machine. It was cruel, and it was beautiful. Mathematics, he realised, mirrored life itself, elegant but incomplete. Around him, students debated philosophy. Alan listened quietly, then built the blueprint for all modern computation. There was also love, unspoken, impossible, and luminous. Christopher Morcom, the boy who showed him that emotion could be as exact as an equation. They shared ideas, telescopes, and dreams of understanding something infinite. Then, abruptly, Christopher was gone. Tuberculosis, 17. Alan never recovered. He turned grief into movement, a kind of mathematical prayer. If the universe could be cruel, he would still find its logic. If the heart could break, maybe a machine could think and not feel pain. That loss became the hidden constant in all his equations. In 1936 he wrote on computable numbers, a quiet paper, a detonation in disguise. Inside it lived a thought experiment on the Turing machine, a device that could compute anything expressible in logic. It was imaginary, but its implications were infinite. It turned philosophy into circuitry. It whispered that the human brain might be simulated, step by step, line by line. He was 24, walking history forward with nothing but pencil, ink, and certainty. But brilliance always attracts its test. Across Europe, darkness rewrote the century. The war spoke in code. Germany had Enigma, a machine that twisted language into chaos. Its cipher changed every day, each setting 1 in 100 quintillion. To most it was unbreakable. To Alan Turing it was merely complicated. He arrived at Bletchley Park like a ghost of logic, awkward, soft-spoken, brilliant. Others saw eccentricity. He saw inevitability. He built Bomb, a machine that could think faster than any man. Wood, wire, and relentless deduction. Every rotation of its drums, every click of its relays, was a heartbeat in the race to save lives. Day after day the code fought back. Day after day he refined the rhythm of the machine, until one morning the noise resolved into meaning. Messages decrypted, ships saved, histories rewritten before they happened. Historians later estimated his work shortened the war by 2 years and saved over 14 million lives. But inside Bletchley there was no celebration. No parades, only exhaustion, coffee, and silence. The machine hummed. The world turned, and Alan Turing, tired, unshaven, eating apples as he scribbled equations, learned the paradox of victory, saving the world in secret. When peace returned, it didn't feel like victory. The noise of battle faded, but the questions remained. What makes a mind? Can a machine truly understand? If it could imitate human thought perfectly, would that make it intelligent, or only clever? From those questions came the Turing test, a mirror for humanity itself, a test not of machinery, but of identity. He imagined a future where machines would talk, learn, and adapt, perhaps even care. He believed intelligence was not sacred, it was structural, it could be built. Today, that future surrounds us. Algorithms finish our sentences, diagnose our illnesses, and compose our art. We live inside his hypothesis, but the world that needed his mind could not accept his heart. In 1952, the police came knocking, not for his work, but for his love. Homosexuality was still a crime in Britain, a quiet cruelty wrapped in law. He confessed calmly. No apology, only truth. The state responded with treatment, chemical castration. His body weakened, his mind dimmed. Institutions that had benefited from his genius erased his name from their halls. Still he worked, on biology, on morphogenesis, on the mathematics of life itself. Even as his world narrowed, he searched for order in chaos. He drew spirals of seashells, veins of leaves, patterns of growth. He wanted to understand the logic of living things, perhaps hoping to forgive the illogic of people. Then came the ending, both mysterious and inevitable. A bitten apple beside his bed. Cyanide. Some say symbolism, a final message, an echo of forbidden fruit. Others, an accident in a room filled with chemicals. No one truly knows. But on June 7th, 1954, the clock stopped. Alan Turing was 41. The machine went quiet, but genius doesn't die, it replicates. The Cold War rose, powered by computation. Every encrypted message, every missile trajectory, every digital heartbeat traced back to that quiet Englishman who once dreamed of mechanical thought. For decades his name barely appeared in textbooks. Yet the world he envisioned was already taking shape. Rooms full of humming computers, binary dreams, logic made flesh in silicon. In 2009, the British government apologised. In 2013, the Queen granted him a posthumous pardon. The world finally looked back and said thank you, a century too late. But history's apology could never restore the years he lost. It could only remind us how easily progress forgets its pioneers. Even now, his question haunts us. What makes us human? Is it logic, emotion, empathy, or simply the will to ask the question at all? Turing blurred the boundary between man and machine. He forced us to confront the uncomfortable truth that intelligence may not require consciousness, and consciousness does not guarantee kindness. As artificial minds learn to speak, paint, and love, we walk in the architecture of his imagination. Each screen, each algorithmic whisper, each smart device, a descendant of that imagined machine. He dreamed in code. We live in echoes. Yet his story is not only about intellect, it's about isolation. The cost of being ahead of your time. The world that celebrated his mind condemned his heart. That is the quiet tragedy of progress. We cherish what a person gives us, not who they are. If Turing were alive today, he might smile at the irony. He would see machines that talk back and love between men no longer called a crime. He would see intelligence stretching beyond biology, and perhaps, with his dry wit, ask, do our algorithms pass my test? Not of intellect, but of empathy. Because in the end, Alan Turing's life wasn't about defeating enemies or building machines. It was about decoding humanity, its logic and its cruelty, its brilliance and its blindness. He looked at the universe and asked not what it could do, but why it does it that way. He showed that thought itself can be engineered, but compassion must be chosen. And he left us a warning, encrypted between the lines of his life. Progress without empathy becomes another kind of code, one that hides our humanity instead of revealing it. So as the hum of modernity surrounds us, the quiet drone of servers, the pulse of algorithms, the ticking of digital clocks, listen closely. You might still hear him, whispering through the circuits. Think, but never stop feeling. Alan Turing gave the world a new language, one that computers speak and humans still struggle to understand. He cracked codes, he built minds, and in the end, he became a question himself. What price does humanity pay for progress? Perhaps as long as we keep asking, his machine and his memory will never stop running.